Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications because today's story is going to blow your mind. We are diving deep into one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of coin collecting, the jaw-dropping tale of the 1986 D-half dollar that somehow became worth a staggering $890 million. Yes, you heard that right, not $890. Not $8,900, but $890 million. Buckle up, because this is a wild ride through history, mystery, and the strange twists of fate that made an ordinary coin the center of one of the biggest treasure hunts ever recorded. It all started like any other day back in 1986. Denver's mint facility was buzzing as it usually did, machines clanging, people moving briskly through the halls, inspectors checking every detail, every die, every blank. Coins were churned out by the millions, the lifeblood of daily commerce. Half dollars weren't the stars of the mint that year. By the mid-80s, the 50-cent piece had fallen out of everyday use for most Americans. Banks ordered them in small quantities, collectors had moved on to other more exciting series. So, when a special shipment went through the Denver Mint, barely anyone noticed. The shipment in question was meant to be standard. Bags and bags of half dollars, stamped and stacked, headed off to banks and armored cars, dispersed into circulation. But among these millions, an anomaly was born, an error coin, but not just any error. We are talking about a piece so extraordinary, its very existence defied explanation for decades. No one at the mint spoke about it. No one admitted to seeing it. Some say it was an inside job. Others believe it was a freak accident. Either way, that coin disappeared into the world without a trace. For a long time, no one knew it even existed. Fast forward to 1992, a dusty coin shop in rural Montana. An old man walked in with a handful of coins in an old tobacco tin, the kind you might find buried in a grandfather's attic. He wasn't a collector, he was just looking for beer money. The shop owner, a man named Harold Griggs, didn't expect much. But as he poured the coins onto the counter, one piece immediately caught his eye. It looked wrong. The shine was different. The design was subtly off. Harold had seen tens of thousands of half dollars in his life, but this one practically screamed for attention. He didn't buy it right away. Instead, he offered the man a small amount for the whole lot and spent the next week obsessing over that strange coin. Under magnification, he noticed anomalies, layers that suggested it wasn't pure copper-nickel like it should have been. The reeded edge was deeper, crisper, almost too perfect. More bizarre, under specific light, faint letters and symbols appeared that weren't part of any US mint design. Harold was no stranger to oddities, but this coin felt like something else entirely. Word started to spread in small circles. Whispered conversations among collectors hinted at a phantom coin, something made of materials that weren't supposed to exist in circulation. Rumors claimed it was lead with platinum and rhodium, metals worth a fortune. Even more insane were the stories that it contained a hidden microchip, possibly a Cold War experiment in covert tracking. Theories exploded. Some believe the 1986 D-half dollar was a secret project by the government, an attempt to create indestructible, traceable currency during a time of heightened espionage paranoia. Others claimed it was the result of rogue mint workers experimenting after hours with forbidden dyes and metals. A few wild conspiracists said it wasn't even from this world, suggesting alien involvement. Whatever the truth, collectors began to hunt for the coin like it was the Holy Grail. By the late 90s, the legend of the 1986 D-half dollar had reached fever pitch. Auctions started popping up with alleged sightings, most of them scams. People spent small fortunes chasing fakes. Some shady dealers even made near-perfect replicas, hoping to cash in on the hysteria. But no one could definitively produce the original. Then, in 2004, a breakthrough. A private collector from Dubai known only as Mr. L claimed he had the real deal. He released high-resolution photographs showing the coin in stunning detail, every abnormality Harold Griggs had noted years before, magnified 1,000-fold. Laboratories were called in. Metallurgists confirmed the coin's unique composition, a core of 90% platinum, 5% rhodium, and trace amounts of unknown alloys that resisted every method of analysis. Its value in raw materials alone was astronomical, but the mystery surrounding its creation made it priceless. Mr. L declined all offers, even when the bids reached into the hundreds of millions. To him, the coin was more than an investment. It was a symbol, a relic from a time when the world teetered on the edge of technological and political upheaval. He toured it through private showings in Europe and the Middle East, always under tight security. It became a whispered obsession among billionaires and powerful institutions. In 2015, disaster struck. During a showing at a private gala in Monaco, the coin vanished. Security footage showed nothing suspicious. No alarms tripped. No doors forced open. One moment the coin was there, under its bulletproof glass, and the next, it was gone. Authorities were baffled. Insurance companies refused to pay out, claiming the circumstances were unverifiable and suspicious. Some said Mr. L staged the theft himself to increase the coin's mystique and value. Others believed an international crime syndicate had orchestrated the heist, possibly working for a clandestine government agency or a private collector willing to pay any price. Regardless, the 1986 $50 was officially classified as lost, and its legend grew even more. Enter Amelia Cross, a renowned historian and cryptologist. In 2017, she published a controversial book suggesting that the 1986 $50 was more than just a valuable era coin, it was a map. Embedded within the minute engravings were coordinates leading to a secret Cold War bunker hidden somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. According to her research, this bunker supposedly held technological marvels decades ahead of their time, relics of projects too dangerous or unstable for public knowledge. Skeptics laughed. Conspiracy theorists rejoiced. And a new wave of treasure hunters armed with metal detectors, drones, and quantum analysis tools surged into Colorado's wild landscapes. Over the next 5 years, several curious finds made headlines: strange devices, encrypted documents, even a crashed experimental aircraft in a remote canyon. None of these discoveries could be definitively linked to the coin, but the myth only intensified. Meanwhile, sightings of the coin trickled in from black markets across the globe. A blurry photograph here, a grainy security video there. It was like chasing a ghost. Prices were whispered to have climbed past $500 million, with secret auctions hosted by the ultra-wealthy in undisclosed locations. Owning the 1986 $50 had become a status symbol beyond imagination, a badge of ultimate exclusivity. By 2023, the value of the coin, both tangible and mythical, was estimated at around $890 million. It was no longer just a piece of metal, it was a symbol of mystery, power, and the unknown. The most valuable, most sought-after coin in history, and still missing. And then something incredible happened. A low-level tech worker in rural Ontario stumbled upon a strange object while hiking, a heavily corroded but unmistakably engraved $50 lodged inside a frozen creek. After weeks of painstaking cleaning and restoration by experts, the markings were confirmed. It matched the original photographs down to the microscopic scratches. The coin had resurfaced. An anonymous bidder. Some say it was a major tech CEO. Others claim it was a royal family, paid the $890 million ransom to secure the coin's return before it could even officially hit the auction block. It was whisked away under armed guard, and today, no one really knows where it resides. Some say it's buried under a private vault in New Zealand, others whisper it's floating somewhere in space aboard a private satellite, hidden away from prying eyes forever. But the story doesn't end there. New evidence has emerged suggesting that the 1986 $50 was not unique. Documents recovered from an abandoned mint facility indicate that several prototype coins were made, each with a different purpose. One rumored to control electronic networks, another to unlock hidden Cold War caches, and yet another believed to contain encrypted biological data. Collectors, adventurers, and billionaires are once again on the hunt. All across the world, eyes are scanning loose change, banks are being quietly raided for half-dollar bags from the 1980s, and treasure hunters are gearing up for the next great discovery. Could the next coin be sitting in a forgotten jar on your grandparents' shelf? Hidden under the floorboards of an old farmhouse? Lost in the sands of a desert ghost town? The world may never know the full truth behind the 1986 D half-dollar. Was it a government experiment gone rogue, a masterpiece of covert engineering, or simply a freak accident that spiraled into legend? What is clear is that it has captured the imagination of millions, inspired books, movies, and documentaries, and cemented itself as one of the greatest mysteries in the history of modern treasure hunting. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's dive into one of the greatest coin mysteries ever told. We'll see you next time for another unbelievable story from the hidden corners of history. Next 1979 half-dollar coin. It's so good to see you again. If you're new here, a big warm welcome to you too. Make sure you stick around because today, we are diving into one of the most fascinating, unbelievable, and jaw-dropping stories in the history of rare coins. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this one all the way to the end. Imagine holding a coin that looks so ordinary you'd think it's just spare change, but it turns out to be worth an astonishing $980 million. Yes, you heard that right. We're talking about a 1979 half-dollar, a coin minted by the US government, suddenly becoming one of the most valuable and sought-after pieces of American history. Now, most of you might be thinking, how can a simple 1979 half-dollar possibly be worth such an insane amount of money? After all, half-dollars are pretty common. They show up in old collections, pocket change, and maybe even in the back of your drawers. But the story behind this particular half-dollar is anything but common. It's a tale filled with mystery, a little bit of luck, unexpected twists, historical intrigue, and a discovery that shook the entire numismatic world to its core. Our story starts back in the late 1970s. America was going through a lot of changes. The economy was rocky, people were worried about inflation, and the US Mint was facing pressure to keep coins in circulation. In 1979, they produced millions of Kennedy half-dollars, the coin featuring the profile of President John F. Kennedy that had been introduced in 1964 following his assassination. By the late 70s, though, the half-dollar was rarely used in everyday transactions. Most people preferred quarters and dollars, and the half-dollar had started to become more of a collector's piece rather than a practical currency. Despite its decline in popularity, the mint continued producing half-dollars. Most of them were struck in copper-nickel-clad compositions, not the silver ones used in earlier years. A few proofs and special issues were made for collectors, but in general, the 1979 half-dollar was seen as pretty unremarkable. Or so everyone thought. Fast forward a few decades later to a small estate sale in rural Pennsylvania. A retired Navy veteran named Harold McMillan had passed away, and his family was clearing out his belongings. Among the dusty furniture, old photographs, and vintage trinkets was a small wooden chest, the kind that looked like it could have been picked up at any antique store. Inside, Harold had kept a collection of coins he had gathered over his lifetime, mostly pocket change and a few commemorative pieces from his years of service. Nothing looked particularly valuable at first glance. One of Harold's grandsons, Michael, decided to take a closer look before donating the coins to a local charity. It was more out of sentimentality than anything else. He started sorting through them, picking up familiar quarters, dimes, nickels, and the occasional silver dollar. Then he found it, a 1979 Kennedy half-dollar. It was well preserved, with a sharp strike and a gleaming surface that didn't match the wear and tear of the other coins. Something about it seemed different, but Michael, not being a coin expert, didn't think much of it. He almost tossed it into the donation box along with the rest, but fate had other plans. A week later, Michael attended a local antique fair and struck up a conversation with a coin dealer named Lenny Weiss, a seasoned numismatist with a sharp eye for rarities. Lenny agreed to take a quick look at the coins Michael had brought along. When he picked up the 1979 half-dollar, his eyes widened. He immediately recognized that there was something unusual about it. The weight felt slightly off. The edge looked sharper. The luster was unlike anything he had ever seen on a clad half-dollar. He asked Michael if he could run a few tests. At first, Michael hesitated. He had no idea why this old coin was drawing so much attention. But Lenny's excitement was contagious. He pulled out a small portable scale, weighed the coin, and then used a magnet to test its metallic properties. The results were baffling. This wasn't just a standard copper-nickel half-dollar. It appeared to be struck in nearly pure platinum, a material the US Mint had never officially used for coinage at that time. Word spread quickly. Within days, the coin was sent to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, for authentication. The experts were stunned. After rigorous analysis, metallurgical testing, and historical research, they confirmed the impossible. Harold Macmillan's 1979 half-dollar was a one-of-a-kind era coin, accidentally struck on a platinum planchet intended for an experimental bullion program that had been scrapped before it launched. Somehow, one of the test blanks had ended up in the half-dollar production line and been struck with the Kennedy design. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a mint error. It was a unique artifact, a physical piece of an abandoned secret project, and the only known example in existence. Its rarity and historical significance catapulted it to legendary status overnight. Auction houses around the world began fighting to secure the rights to sell the coin. The bidding wars were fierce, with offers reaching unprecedented heights. Finally, in an exclusive, high-profile auction held in Geneva, Switzerland, the coin sold to an anonymous private collector for an eye-popping $980 million. It shattered all previous records, becoming not just the most valuable coin ever sold, but one of the most expensive collectibles of any kind in human history. The news sent shockwaves through the collecting world and beyond. Suddenly, everyday people were rummaging through their old change jars and coin collections, hoping to strike gold, or, in this case, platinum. It sparked a renewed interest in numismatics, with coin shows, collector clubs, and online forums experiencing a massive boom. Stories about the Platinum Kennedy circulated in newspapers, television reports, and social media feeds for months. As for Michael, he became an overnight millionaire and used his share of the proceeds to honor his grandfather's legacy. He established a scholarship fund for veterans and donated generously to several military charities. He also kept a small framed photo of Harold next to a replica of the 1979 half-dollar, a personal reminder of the incredible journey they had embarked on together, even if Harold never lived to see it. The US Mint, embarrassed yet fascinated by the discovery, conducted an internal investigation. Records revealed that in the late 1970s, as inflation fears mounted, the Treasury Department had explored the idea of minting high-value platinum coins as a hedge against currency devaluation. Prototypes were created, but the project was ultimately deemed too risky and was abandoned. All experimental blanks were supposed to have been destroyed. Clearly, at least one had slipped through the cracks. Unnoticed for decades, collectors speculated endlessly about whether more of these coins could exist. Was there another Platinum Kennedy hiding in someone's attic or buried in a forgotten piggy bank? The mystery only added to the allure. Treasure hunters launched organized searches, and the secondary market for 1979 half-dollars exploded. Even ordinary, circulated examples started selling for premiums, just because of the slim chance that another rare error might surface. Meanwhile, conspiracy theories flourished. Some suggested that Harold had been involved in secret government work and had intentionally preserved the coin. Others believed that rogue mint employees had smuggled out experimental pieces as part of a covert operation. None of these theories were ever proven, but they added to the mythos surrounding the Platinum Kennedy. Over time, the coin became more than just a collector's item. It became a symbol of hidden treasures, The idea that incredible wealth and history could be hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye or a little bit of luck. Museums offered millions to display the coin temporarily, and it became a centerpiece in exhibitions about American history, minting technology, and the unpredictable nature of chance. The legacy of the $980 million 1979 half dollar lived on, inspiring a new generation of collectors, historians, and dreamers. People who had never thought twice about the coins in their pockets now looked at them with a new sense of wonder. After all, if a simple half dollar could be worth nearly $1 billion, what other secrets might the world be hiding? And so, next time you come across a dusty old coin in your change jar, remember Harold, Michael, and the incredible story of the Platinum Kennedy. Because you never know, the next great discovery could be in your very own hands. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's dive into one of the greatest coin mysteries ever told. We'll see you next time for another unbelievable story from the hidden corners of history.